We're on episode, I believe, 65, if I remember right. You know what episode we're on, Michael? 65 of Elk Talk Live. If you want to get notified about these, text Randy, R-A-N-D-Y, to 64600. And this is brought to you by a Bowtech, Leupold, right here, all this Leupold stuff. Go Hunt, Onyx, Tight Spot, Ripcord, Black Gold, and Rocky Mountain Hunting Calls. And if you want to use promo code Randy to save a bunch of money, Rocky Mountain Hunting Calls will give you 15% off with promo code Randy. Onyx will give you 20% off all their hunt apps with promo code Randy. And Go Hunt, when you sign up for their Insider, will give you $50 of store credit when you use promo code Randy. So, I almost can't afford not to be watching this and using those promo codes, making money like that. Wonder how many questions we got today. Open chat. Join the chat. Huh. Well, we got all kinds of them here on Facebook. Let's see. Sean says he listens to all of my podcasts at work and makes him want to go out elk hunting or go out and hit the mountains. Elk hunting can't come soon enough. So what he brought up there is we do two podcasts. We do the Hunt Talk Radio, which is subtitled Randy Newberg Unfiltered, because you never know what you're going to get on that podcast. And then we have another podcast I do with Corey Jacobson called Elk Talk. Kind of like this is Elk Talk Live. This is a live as it goes. Corey and I do the Elk Talk podcast, which is brought to you by a lot of the similar sponsors, but is primarily put together by the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. So, Randy, when is Montana going to post their drawing results for deer and elk? I believe next Monday. And that's a really good lead into what happened today. Michael, did I draw New Mexico elk today?
I don't think so.
No, bummer. But my strategy, normally I make my third choice. So New Mexico looks at your first, second, and third choice before they go to the next person. I always make my first choice really hard, my second choice pretty hard, and my third choice I usually make really easy. But this year we've already got such a booked calendar, I said, you know what? I'm going to make my third choice pretty hard also. So if I do draw, it's going to be worth clearing other things off the calendar. So that's just how it went. I didn't draw. Oh my goodness! Kyle Green just posted, he said, Randy, hello from New Mexico. Draw results came out today. I was fortunate to draw a desert bighorn sheep tag. Oh my goodness. Whew. That's like a unicorn tag, my friend. Congratulations. Wow. What rifle would you use? A 7mm mag or a 308? I'd use whatever you have. Either of them are going to be just fine. So, wow. Darren said he just got himself a new Bowtech bow. Ha, that's a good one. That will be very, very handy for you this fall. A lot of people are asking, how did I do in the New Mexico drawing? I applied for desert bighorn, I applied for elk, I applied for antelope, and I applied for deer. Red. Which in New Mexico, you know, if you do it, you log in, and if you're successful, it's green. If it's unsuccessful, it's red. Well, I had a whole bunch of red stuff. So, bummer. Oh, well. Randy, which state do you feel is the worst of all of the drawing systems? The worst. Well, it depends on what you mean by worst. As far as value for what you invest, I think Utah probably provides the least amount of value for what you invest. I really do not like preference point systems because it's the person who gets the most points who draws the tag. In Colorado, everything's on a preference point system as far as deer and elk. So I'd probably say I like that the least. I don't know if I'd say worst or best. I'll just tell you those are my opinions of what I like or don't like. Wyoming is a preference point system, but at least they carve away 75 or 25% of the tags and make those a random draw. So I wish that Wish it wasn't that way, but it is. Nothing we can do about it. Here's another thing that this time of year, a lot of people get mad and say, well, they shouldn't be able to restrict me because I'm a non-resident. This is federal land, or blah, 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 or the fees shouldn't be different, or the percentages. Well, here's the really quick reality of that. Wildlife is managed by the states, and it goes all the way back to 1842. There was a United States Supreme Court case called Martin versus Waddell, and it said the states are the trustees of the wildlife no matter what land it stands on. So whether that wildlife or that fish is on public land, on private land, or whatever, the state has the trustee responsibility for its citizens. So that's an important distinction. Not for the citizens of the United States, but for the citizens of that state. So that's why states can do what they want to do. And I'm a non-resident in 49 other states. And the state I live in, Montana, we wrote the book on how to really lay the pipe to non-residents. So I wish Montana didn't have such a big disparity between residents and non-residents. But whenever I apply in all these other states, like today when New Mexico came out, 6% of the tags in New Mexico go to us self-guided non-residents. That's not a very big piece. But the flip side of that is South Dakota doesn't even let me apply for elk. Some other states don't even let me apply for whatever species. So the reality of that is if a state lets even one non-resident tag out, or puts one in the drawing, which I hope they put lots in the drawing, it's technically one more tag than they really have to by law. So I know we get frustrated when we don't draw, but that's just the reality of the country we live in. Wow, look at all the people chiming in. Randy, I drew elk and mule deer in New Mexico. Between you and Go Hunt, you taught a man to fish. Thanks again, Anthony. I like reading all this stuff. Kyle says, hey, Randy, you want to go on that unicorn hunt with me? Whew. Do I want to go? Yeah. Do I want me and a camera crew to mess up your hunt? No. That's a once-in-a-lifetime hunt. You don't want us dragging along and messing it all up for you. Ooh, boy, that's a temptation. What do you think, Michael? Should we offer our services?
Is it a good hunt? Is it a good area?
There are no bad sheep areas in New Mexico.
Oh, okay. I didn't know you drew a sheep tag. Heck yeah, that'd be awesome.
Randy, when are you going out for turkey? I'm not. Michael just asked me that. My calendar so tax day was Monday, right? I'm a CPA, even though I'm not much of a CPA anymore. So between all the traveling I've done this spring, then a little bit of tax work, I've been over in Oregon for 20 days already this winter, unexpectedly. I've got a trade show coming up in late April, early May. Then I've got a niece's graduation I have to go to. And then I've got friends coming in to do some spring bear hunting in Montana. So first, there's two reasons. One, that calendar is the biggest reason. Two, I'm the worst turkey hunter in the world. And this week on our YouTube channel, you're seeing a bunch of turkey episodes. Marcus and Michael went to Nebraska with their rounds, their Bowtech rounds. What are they going to see tomorrow, Michael?
Well, they got one more day.
Oh, they got one more day to wait until they see the big results?
They get to see another day of a strong one.
All right. So Friday, make sure you tune in on Friday to see it happen. And then later this month, Michael and Marcus are going to South Dakota to connect with the Hunting Public guys and Sam Solholt, the public school bus guy. So I think we're going to have enough turkey content. And then we're going to roll into spring bear content. So, Randy, what did you apply for in Arizona? I apply for anything Arizona gives a tag for. You name it, I apply for it. Elk, deer, antelope, sheep, javelina. I don't apply for bear. Let's see, Randy, if you're doing over-the-counter elk, would you do Colorado or Idaho, and why? That's a good question. It would depend. If you're archery hunting or whether you're rifle hunting, it would depend on where you live. If you lived in Washington, why would you drive through Idaho to get to Colorado? Or if you lived in Texas, why would you drive through Colorado to get to Idaho? I live right here in Montana. Idaho's really close, so I'd probably pick Idaho over Colorado for archery for sure. For rifle, I don't know. Either of them would be good choices. It's probably whatever works best for your calendar. Let's see. Jonathan asks, hey Randy, this is my first year of applying for elk in Montana, and I very likely won't draw a limited entry tag. There's a good chance you could draw your general tag, but not your limited entry, even without any points. I don't bow hunt. Is it worthwhile to keep a general big game combo tag and hunt the elk? If you don't have anything else going on, I'd do it. Because if you turn it back in, you're going to get, what, 80% of it back? If you wait too long, you'll only get 50% of it back. And I don't know. Surely the archery hunt is better than the rifle hunt. But I wouldn't let that discourage me. Especially if we have one of those years where we get early weather. It's pretty crazy when we get early weather. Even then, the public is really good. But a lot of years we don't get early weather, and so it's really tough hunting. So, and I say that just because I want people to honestly know this is what it's like. I would not want people to show up here with pie in the sky ideas and say, oh man, I wish I would have known that. I would have never came. So I try to be as honest about it as I can. Randy, what backpack and bino system do you use? Right, here's the binos. These are Leupold Sanium BX5s. My backpack is a Mystery Ranch Metcalf on most days. On longer pack trips, last year I used the Beartooth 80. And then some days we use a Pintler or a Sawtooth, or we use all different kinds of things. So, were we getting some audio crack there, Michael?
A little bit of crack is your thing.
Uh-oh. What am I doing here?
No, not that.
Oh.
Is it the antenna in your pocket?
Oh, my lav?
Yeah, stick
So,
the antenna out.
here's what happens in this gig, folks. I got one of these in my pocket. And if you can think about hunting with this stuff, I usually have two of these, one in each pocket. And I've got this camera guy over there saying, hey, Randy, your audio's not going well. And then I got another one over in this pocket, so I'm double mic'd. And the reason being is that way if one of them fails, the other one will pick it up. And then each camera also has a shotgun mic. So we have a shotgun mic and a lav mic on each camera. So if you ever hear Michael coach me about audio and I get this look on my face of frustration, like just shut up, it's because the number one thing that's a pain in the butt about what we do is audio. Because we go by the theory, if there's no good audio, there's no good video. So we got to have good audio. Jonathan asks, Randy, I'm dying to know how that Nissan Pickup is holding up on some of your hunts. I'm in Nevada now, and we have some roads that are true gems. Yep, you do. And that Nissan Pickup last year went through some absolute true gems, if you want to call them that. I'm loving it. When Nissan calls me to say, hey, we want that truck back, I'm going to say, you're not getting it. It got lost. It's whatever. So it's doing great. Really doing good. Let's see. When am I planning to go pig hunting? Probably not. As we've said many times, all of our content is about native species, and that's why I no longer apply for oryx and ibex in New Mexico. Before we started these platforms, I used to apply for everything. Domestic, whether native wildlife, whether they were introduced wildlife, I had to do all of them. But for me, I want to talk about stories related to the conservation of our native species. Hogs are not one of those, so not that I don't want to go do it. It's just for our content, you probably won't ever see us doing that. So, let's see. Is it worth buying a handheld GPS with the Onyx chip, or just use the phone app in the Colorado mountains? Just use the phone app. And a lot of people ask this, and they say, well, what if I don't have service? And we've said it many times. Go watch the videos out on OnX, and they've got really good explanations of it. But put your phone on airplane mode, and your GPS still works. So when you're at home, download the maps of where you're going to be hunting so they're already on your phone. Then, if you're out of service, and even if you're in service, it's less drain on your battery if you put it on airplane mode. Your GPS is still going to work. So the map and GPS, it doesn't matter that you don't have service, so do that. That's what we do. And then we carry these little jobbies around here to keep them charged up. See that? OnX sent me this one right here. It's made by Archery. So this will charge my cell phone probably 4 or 5 times. And we use these when we're back there, just in case our battery starts getting low. So, works really, really slick. So, whoo, Tyrell, Randy, any tips on Unit 16E in New Mexico? My brother drew the tag. I think we've got, let's see, 4 episodes out on our YouTube channel that will give you way more information about it than I can tell you here, just as time doesn't allow. Zach says, Randy, I just drove 2,000 miles for work this week, and all I have to say is thank you for your podcast. Oh my goodness, Zach, I'm sorry I didn't put you to, or I'm thankful I didn't put you to sleep. I worry about that when people say, oh yeah, I listen to your podcast all the time. I'm like, oh man, you're probably falling asleep then. Let's see. Randy, if you had one late season elk tip that has made you successful, what would it be? I would say it is glassing and glassing and glassing and finding ways to not let my mind get so bored that I give up on glassing. Sometimes, and Michael will vouch for this, sometimes we kind of pull shifts. Because your mind, you've been looking in the spotter for so long or in your binos, and you're like, oh, I just need a break. So one person will go walk over here and just look someplace where you probably are never going to see an elk, but it breaks up the monotony. Or we'll build a fire, or we'll cook a meal, or we'll do something. Something that keeps us on the mountain so that we don't give up. Because you're getting cold, you're not seeing much, but those elk are there. You know that there are elk around because there's probably tracks in the snow. You know you're on the lower end of the migration corridor near the winter range or whatever it is. Don't give up. I would say probably most late season elk hunters hike to a glassing nub. They look around, they're like, nothing here, and they walk back to the truck. No, we set up shop. We are there all day. Sometimes we'll go back day after day after day. Sometimes it's not that fun, but it's effective usually. Let's see. Randy, I drew a late rifle hunt for bull elk in Unit 5A in northern Arizona with 2 points. This will be my first time hunting anything. Woo! Did I overreach? What should I expect? Do you have any advice? Yeah, I've antelope hunted over there, and it's very open. You're going to want to spend most of your time in the southern end of the unit. Again, just like I was saying earlier, it's a glassing game. Get up on some of the... So Unit 5A, 5B have some canyons and other stuff, but the southern ends of the unit are higher in elevation. Gain elevation and glass, and glass, and glass, and glass. And be there before the sun comes up. You're probably going to be mostly glassing north because of how the elevation runs in that unit. The elk are mostly going to be coming to the south after they go feed out in open areas. They're going to come up into the canyons and the timber. And that's where you're going to see them. Hopefully you'll see them bed and you can make a move on them. But it's probably more open than many of the other units in Arizona. This one I get asked a lot. Randy, do you believe that a 308 Winchester is big enough for elk, or do you prefer something bigger? I currently use a 300 Winchester short mag. If you have a 300 WSM, use that. I've shot a lot of elk with a 308. And a lot of times I get people who say, oh, a 308 doesn't have enough energy to kill an elk. Well, I got a whole wall full of antlers on my shop wall that didn't get the memo that a 308 isn't enough. So I would I would just use the 300 Winchester short mag if that's what you have. But if you're buying something new or buying for somebody else who's looking for a rifle, don't at all hesitate about a 308. It's a 308. A lot of people ask me, well, why do you use a 308 over a 30-06? Ballistically, they're almost identical. They're both a 30 caliber. The difference is the 308 is a more efficient cartridge, and by that I mean it will get its ballistic performance with burning less powder. That's why you'll see the case on a 308 is smaller than the case on a 30-06. And as a result, less recoil, less wear and tear on your barrel, longer barrel life. Just 30-06 is an amazing round too. It is an elk machine. So either of them I use. I don't know, 6 of one, half dozen other, whatever you prefer. Randy, how do you find good glassing spots on Onyx? Get the topo layer. So right on Onyx, you can either use the topo layer or the hybrid layer. The topo layer and hybrid layer will show you the contour lines. So it'll show you where you're going to get up above, because you don't want to glass from down below. If you're glassing, you want to be glassing across hillsides, or if you're glassing either down below or up above, you want to be glassing down below. You want to be above the quarry looking low. You don't want to be low looking up. You're not going to see hardly anything. So those contour lines on Onyx, either in the topo map mode or in the hybrid mode, are going to show you all that. So that's what I do, how I find them. Let's see. No, I have not hunted Unit 12 and 23 in Colorado. Let's see. Randy, I left my daughter's softball game to watch this. This better be good. I hope it is, Lou. If not, you don't want to miss your daughter's softball game just to listen to me. I can tell you nothing that I say is going to be good enough to replace your softball game that your daughter's at. Randy, are you and Corey hunting together this year? We will find out on Monday when the Montana draw results come out. We're planning on doing a hunt together here in Montana. He applied in Montana, and if so, we're going to do an elk hunt together here in Montana. If he doesn't draw, there's a really good chance I'm going to go join him over in Idaho. So, let's see. What binos are we using? These ones here are, I don't know. Will that come into focus, Michael? Can you see? These are the BX5 10x42s from Leupold. This is what is in my bino pouch, and pretty much all of our bino pouches. We have 3 sets along the back wall there that Leupold just sent us to make sure all of our guest hunters have them. Can you see the writing in there? It's not showing up very good, is it?
Here. Hold them still there.
Hold them still?
There you go.
All right.
They should be able to see that.
Okay. All right. Anyhow, that's what we use. Great optics. If you look at optics as the intersection between price and performance, to me, that's where value is. Value is where price and performance intersect. You're going to have a hard time finding better value than this. So, let's see. Boy, we got a lot of people here today. This Grant, you said, Randy, any muskrat trapping videos this spring? Have you been out on our YouTube channel? 2 weeks ago, the entire YouTube channel, we spent 5 days muskrat trapping out there. Go check it out on our YouTube channel. You guys are so funny. Let's see. Corey asked, when hunting by yourself in hot weather for elk, could you leave quarters overnight in good game bags? And when I say hot, I'm talking Nevada muzzleloader season. Oh yeah, you'll be fine leaving it overnight. In Nevada, you have this diurnal temperature, right? Warm days, really cold nights. part of that is because of just how high you are in elevations. The whole state, any place there'd be elk, are at a high elevation. You're going to have no problem leaving elk hanging overnight in Nevada, even in those muzzleloader seasons of October. Wouldn't worry about it. Randy, you know anything about Unit 50 in New Mexico? I do not. I'm sorry about that. I've not hunted that. Let's see. A bunch of them there. Where are the other ones that you... Oh, here we go. Randy, any plans to hunt Washington? Probably not. We've discussed that many times, why we don't do it. Randy, where can I get the elk ecology book that you always refer to? Go to the Wildlife Management Institute. It's way cheaper there than it is on Amazon. I think at the Wildlife Management Institute, it's $60. What do you pay?
$42.50.
$42.50. Michael bought it. I wouldn't loan him mine. Actually, I would have, but I loaned mine to somebody else, and it's never been returned. So, but if you try to buy it on Amazon, it's like $300 or $400 now. So, don't do that. When and how do you decide to switch glassing spots? We talk about that. We did a whole e-scouting series last summer with Onyx Maps. If you go and watch that video, we go into great detail about picking our spots, how we orient ourselves to the sun and the landscape and everything else. As far as when do I switch, I often will have one glassing spot for morning and another for evening. But sometimes if the hike in there is 3 miles, I'm not hiking in 3 miles, glassing, hiking out, and then doing another 3 and 3 in the evening. I will find another glassing spot somewhere nearby where I'm back in there, but it just gives me different angles. It just depends on what I'm seeing. If I'm not seeing anything, how many times have we went fishing and we got stuck in the rut of just trying the same thing every day, every hour, every cast, and we do it 4 days in a row and we don't catch anything. But yet, the last morning we go and we try a different spot with a different lure, and man, we just fill the boat with fish. Well, kind of the same thing with hunting. If you're here doing what you know is a good tactic, and you're just not seeing sign, you're not seeing tracks, you're not seeing anything, go over there, move around, get a better angle, a different view, whatever. So it just depends on what I'm seeing. So let's see, Randy, I'm a flatlander from Michigan. How much water do you carry with you on a typical day for hunting elk? At least 2 liters. I carry a 3-liter bladder. It's usually got about 2.5 liters in it. And a lot of people say, holy cow, that's a lot of weight. Yeah. You get dehydrated, you'll be glad you had that weight with you. Have I ever done a caribou or moose hunt in Alaska? I've done moose in Alaska. I'm blessed that I have family that lives up in Alaska. So if I decide to go moose hunting in there, they can come and help me. I haven't went with them since, when 9/11 happened in 2001, I was there with, my grandfather and 3 uncles and 2 cousins and a friend, moose hunting. We shot 4 moose on that trip. I've never done caribou in Alaska, but I'm doing mountain caribou this year in British Columbia. So that's... Randy, are you planning on attending any conventions or the BHA Rendezvous? Yes, I will be at the BHA Rendezvous in Boise. Corey Jacobson and I will be doing a Q&A session. I think that's on Friday. And then Saturday, we're premiering a film called Reindeer, R-A-I-N, like rain that falls from the sky, Reindeer. And it's about Sitka black-tailed deer. And we're going to premiere that film Saturday, and then we're doing a Q&A session around that. And then I'm going to be at the Go Hunt booth. I'll be at the Gerber booth. Be doing Hunt to Eat, the group that does all of our t-shirts and hats with us. So, yeah, it'll be a busy 3 or 4 days for me. Have I ever hunted units 36 and 34 in New Mexico? I have. In fact, if you look at my application every year, one of those units is always on that as my first choice. So that's, hopefully that tells you what I think of those units. Good luck if you have the tag. Let's see. What was this one? There's something here. Randy, any recommendations for handling and transporting elk skulls in Montana with the new regulations, cutting the skull plate, etc.? Yes. And this isn't just relative to Montana. This is just about applies to every state now because of CWD, chronic wasting disease. In just about every state, you have to either take a skull cap and get rid of all the brain material, or you have to boil the skull. I'm going to show you what I mean by that. We got one right here. So, easy there, Randy. Hold on, I'm coming.
It's so big, it's hard to move.
Hold on, I'm coming. So, this is an elk here that has had the skull cap. So, this is what they call skull capping. My son shot this in Wyoming. So you have to remove the membrane, which is the brain sits right in here. So when you cut this off with a saw, this pops off and the skull's still there, and the brain is sitting in there. So with the brain sitting in there, it stays with the skull. Dispose of the skull right near where you shot it if you can, the skull and the spine, because that's where any CWD matter will be. And then what we did with this, we take peroxide or bleach or whatever. Even though we pulled that membrane out of here, we tried to clean it up even more so you can see that it's really white there. But that's what you have to do in just about every state. You either have to do the skull capping like this, or you have to boil the skull like a European mount and get rid of any brain or spinal tissue. Ooh, oh man, I'm gonna get hurt back here. So,
knew it was back there.
What's that?
As if they only saw the crap.
Yeah, if you guys could see what's in this room, we keep this little spot right here somewhat cleaned up. There are so many cameras and batteries and tripods and microphones. Yeah, we've got a mess here. But so anyhow, Ryan, I hope that answers your question, and I hope everyone complies with those laws, because how tragic would it be, one, if you spread CWD without knowing you were even doing it, or two, you leave Colorado or Wyoming or Montana and you get to the state line, and some of these states are now setting up checkpoints, and you get there and you have not removed the brain and spinal tissue, and they take your elk or your deer. They will do that. So pay good attention. Just about every state in the last few years has changed that. So, Randy, one thing that no one ever talks about is personal hygiene when you're backcountry hunting. After a few days, I get to smelling like a rutting buck and get to looking for a creek to get scrubbed up in. What are your thoughts? I'm the same way. That's why I'm a big fan of merino. Those of you who watch our stuff know that I'm just about, even when it's warm, I'm wearing a Sitka merino, either a lightweight or some form of merino from Sitka. And a big part of that is merino has way better bacteria prevention than synthetics. And if I see a creek, I ask Michael and Marcus, I carry a small bar of soap and I carry shampoo with me. If I find a little creek or a little muck hole, I'm over there getting scrubbed down, because I just feel like I got the creepy crawlers, man. I got the chiggers or something. I'm with you. And I will carry extra underwear. I'll carry extra top, and I'll go wash one set, scrub it, and with the soap and everything, hang it, let it dry that day, and put on my other ones, and I'll rotate those. So once you get a strategy in place, it's not that hard to stay somewhat tolerable in a backcountry hunt. And I've had people in our camp who had an allergy to soap and water, and I just can't take it after a while. I got to hand them the soap and say, you know what, my friend, you're just too bad. You got to go over there and scrub down, because I can't deal with you anymore. And there's no reason to be in the backcountry and be quite that ripe, I guess. So that's what I do. Randy, are you going to be at the RMEF Elk Camp in Park City? Yep, I'm going to be. They got all kinds of things planned for us down there, so we're going to be there. Hey Randy, how hard is it to get a decent antelope in Wyoming on public land? It's probably the place where you can get a really good antelope, better than any state I know of. Randy, will you be at the Total Archery Challenge in Big Sky in July? Yep, I'll be there also. As you can see, you guys ask me all these questions. Am I going to be here? Am I going to be there? I don't really get an off season. I know a lot of people think, oh, all he does is go on hunt. Well, yeah, I get to do a lot of hunting, but end up doing a lot of other stuff also. Let's see. A lot of calling questions that come up, and I usually defer my calling questions to my buddy Corey. Those of you who know Corey Jacobson, my friend, we do the Elk Talk podcast together. Rocky Mountain Hunting Calls has made a special line of elk hunting calls that I have Corey's name on it because Corey has worked with them on all of the design and the sound and everything else, and he's just got some amazing talent when it comes to calling. And the company Rocky Mountain Hunting Calls. I mean, that's what you guys use turkey hunting, right, Michael?
Yep.
That's what we use when we're coyote hunting, when we're pretty much everything hunting.
Everything.
So I don't mean to ignore the calling questions, but I defer most of those to Corey. Randy, how about a cow elk hunt sometime? Yep, we're working on that. I'm pretty sure my Wyoming Health Tag this year is in a really hard to access unit, and it's an either sex elk, so I'm probably just going to go down there and do a cow hunt. It just seems like it would be a good tag to demonstrate that on. Randy, will you be at the NRA show in Indy? No, I will be obligated that week, so I will be doing appearances elsewhere. Randy, you guys need to do more of those Elk Talk podcasts, by the way. All right. We'll think about that. We'll try to figure out. This is a good question. Randy, I know that the mountain caribou is one of your dream hunts. Congratulations for going on that. What is your next aspirational hunt? You know, after the mountain caribou, I've been telling the guys here that I'm a blessed person in that my bucket list is pretty much checked off. I don't really have anything after that I'm just, oh, I gotta go do it. I gotta this, I gotta that. There's a lot of cool things on this planet and places to go for hunting. Africa, Asia, Europe, wherever. But none of those really interest me. What interests me is going back and retracing steps on all these public land hunts I've done for the last 30 some years and just seeing them again and trying to get even more out of them. Enjoying them a little more for just the experience of what they are or the story of the landscape that's there. So I probably, this is probably it. This is the big one for me. It's what I've saved time and budget for pretty much my adult life. And once it's done, hope I have a great time, but I'd say the elk and antelope are going to be in big trouble after that. I'm going to get even more serious about that if possible. Randy, my son is probably going to be born tonight or tomorrow. All right, congratulations. How much did your time in the field drop after the first year Matthew was born? A lot. Just accept the fact that you now have the most, what would I say, the greatest job in the world. It's going to require you allocate your time in a different manner. But if you do it properly, that son or that daughter is going to grow up and be 6, 8, 10 years old, and you're going to start taking them out in the lake, out in the field, out to the river, and you're going to look at it and say, that was worth every absolute, whatever, if you want to call it a sacrifice or compromise, whatever time you invest when they're really small to build this great family and invest in them, that's going to pay off in spades as they get older. So it's going to change your time available, but don't worry about it. Look at it as an investment that's probably going to provide greater rewards than any investment you'll make in your entire life. That's my thought on it anyhow. So, and if I had young kids at home, there's no way I'd be doing what I'm doing now. I'd be home more. Randy, you have a Unit 15 New Mexico first archery tag. Are you camping along the road or would you hike in and camp? I would camp and be super mobile. The elk in those units over there in western New Mexico are highly transient. I wouldn't tie myself down to any one particular spot. I'd be moving every day. So that's what I would do. And I'd probably come home empty-handed, so you might want to be careful asking advice from me. What is your all-time favorite Wyoming hunt? Boy, oh boy, oh boy. That's a hard one. It would probably be, I could think of all the reasons why so many of them are all-time favorites. My antelope hunts I love. I just love Wyoming antelope hunting. It's so much fun, but I've been blessed with some really fantastic elk hunts there. Last year, if you saw on our YouTube channel, my son Matthew had the tag. That was an amazing hunt. I took my Uncle Larry up in the Bighorns one time. That was a great hunt. Took my buddy Mark Hervinen up into the Bighorns. He shot his first bull elk. He's got some serious heart issues, but he's able to get it done. That's a very memorable hunt. I don't know. I could go on and explain every hunt I've ever done in Wyoming and say, oh yeah, that's why that one's so memorable. Let's see, Randy, on that caribou hunt, are you using a gun or a bow? I'll be bringing my rifle. Everyone tells me, oh, you can do that with a bow, but I'm going to bring my rifle. So let's see, Randy, do you have an opinion about setting trail cams out on public land? I don't know that I really have an opinion on it. I'd say no matter where you're doing whatever it is, and I don't care if it's trail cameras or shed antler hunting or your own hunting, be respectful of other people. Be respectful of the wildlife. And, you know, just be good about it. And I don't have any problem. I don't own a trail camera, but I go to a lot of these places and every water hole has 10 trail cameras on it. It does cause me to say, oh man, is there a deer or an elk or an antelope in this unit that isn't named and numbered by 50 different people? But I guess that's just the way it is. I'm over it, and I just accept it as part of the landscape. Let's see. You guys, I get asked some questions here that if I answered them, I would get harassed to no end. But that's all right. Let's see. I'm glad that a lot of people are agreeing with me on my comments about investing in your kids. Those are nice comments to hear. Randy, how often did you pull Matthew out of school for hunting trips? A lot. A lot. When he was in high school, we went out of state to Wyoming, 3 times. We went out of state to Nevada at least once. We went out of state to New Mexico twice. And so those are trips that you got to take them out of school. And my theory on this, I inherited it from my 6th grade teacher, Paul Reese. My dad came and pulled me out of school in 6th grade, and I could hear my dad telling Paul, Mr. Reese, as we called him, that, yeah, I'll try to have him back. You know, I'll make sure he doesn't miss too many days. And Paul said something that to this day still sticks with me. He said, you know what? I'm pretty sure he's going to learn more out in the woods in that extra day with you than he's going to learn in my classroom, so don't worry about it. And that's kind of the approach I took with taking Matthew out of school from the time he was even when he's a youngster. I mean, we would go on some extended fishing trips and he'd get out of school. And my theory was he's going to learn more out a day fishing or a day hunting, then he's going to learn that day in school. But I didn't let him off the hook. I mean, he still had to really get after it with his schoolwork. But so these are some serious questions, but they're not necessarily elk related. But since we're getting about, I don't know, 2/3 of the way through, I just want to remind everybody, hope you'll share this with your friends. Hope you'll tune in. Hope you'll get notified via text, which to do that is you text Randy, R-A-N-D-Y, to 64600. And then just to make sure that you're using promo code Randy when you're out at OnX, because you're going to save 20% on their app products. When you're out at gohunt.com and you sign up for the Insider, you're going to get $50 of free store credit. Rocky Mountain Hunting Calls, using promo code Randy, is going to save you 15% on your call purchases there. And then this whole idea was created by Bowtech, right? That's why I wear this hat, because I'm so thankful for all the support they give, the great products they provide. And Leupold said, we want in on that. And so that's why you see all this Leupold stuff here. And then the 3 accessories that have been on my bow since those companies started, black gold sights, ripcord rests, and tight spot quivers. I've never had anything on a bow that isn't a ripcord, tight spot, or black gold. Well, I guess I have. I had some before those companies started. So since those companies started, I have not had anything. So, Randy, I'll draw a Utah Archery Elk Tag on the Wasatch unit this year. Any tips on hunting elk in the heat since the season starts mid-August in Utah? It's tough. I mean, that's early season mode. The number one thing they're focused on then is food and water. So, and in the Wasatch, you have more water there than you do in some of your other units in Utah, but it's going to be hot. They need a lot of water. So find the best food that's near water, and that's where you're going to find them in August. And then over the course of that archery season, you're going to go from the early season to the pre-rut, and the last couple days of your archery season in Utah will be in the peak rut. And their needs from when your season starts to when your season ends, the needs of elk will change more over that period of time than probably any archery or rifle season in the West. You'll go from food and water being a priority to being a much lower priority, being replaced by breeding. By the end, breeding is the number one need that elk have. So find cows. At the beginning, it's food and water. Find the best food near water, and that's where you'll find the bulls. So that's how I approach it. I just look at what's the time frame in which you're going to be hunting them. Remember, we always talk about the 5 periods of elk hunting: early season, pre-rut, peak rut, post-rut, late season, and the 4 needs, right? Food, water, sanctuary and security, and one of the temporary needs is breeding. Those 4 needs get juggled and changed based on which of these 5 seasons you're hunting. So the first part is always identify what season it is, and that will tell you which of these 4 needs are the highest priority. And whatever's the highest priority, go find where that exists on your map, and that's where you're going to find elk. So let's see. Tony says, Randy, get Nosler and or Howa to do podcasts on their products, their ballistics, nuances of their products. Those would make great podcasts. Leupold is a great company too. Learning about the glass components, product information, and application towards a hunter's needs in the field would be great. Leupold has their own podcast. It's called the Core Podcast. So if you go to leupold.com, they have their own podcast. And Howa and Nosler have standing offers to be on this podcast at any time. And when we try to do it, we've tried many times. Our calendars just never work. It's a bummer. We'll keep trying though. Let's see. Will I ever try any mountain lion hunting? I've been on a lot of mountain lion chases. One of our fill-in camera guys, Tyler Jonerson, has unbelievable dogs, and he catches about 30 to 35 lions a year. He lets just about all of them go. He might take one a year, maybe 2. And I've tagged along with him on some of those, and it's a ton of fun. But for me, mountain lion hunting is about the dog handler and his dogs. And it just would be hard for me to tell a story of, yeah, I'm going to follow Tyler along. He's done all this work. He's trained these dogs for 6 years. He's been doing all the scouting, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to show up, and he's going to point to it, and I'm going to shoot it out of the tree. I don't have any problem when people do that. But for me, trying to tell a compelling story about that is hard. It would have to be a story about Tyler and his dogs, not about me or the lion. So that's why you'll probably won't see it on our content. So I know that might not be the answer people want to hear, but it's just the truth of it. So let's see. Randy, how about having Hank Shaw do a cooking cameo? He's done many of them for us. Go to our 2018 Arizona Sonoran Safari. Every night Hank did a cooking episode out on our YouTube channel. He's a great guy. And Hank and I are trying to schedule an antelope hunt together this fall, but he's going to be in Newfoundland and I'm going to be in British Columbia, and I hope it would work, but it's looking hard. Dan, this guy Dan says, Randy, you just mentioned a bucket list hunt. Here's a throwdown for you, a Bigfoot hunt. Bigfoot showed up here today, didn't he, Michael?
Yeah, he did.
The Squatch showed up. So I'm walking in the door of our office, and the FedEx guy hands me a box with, I can't tell if it's a gorilla or a Sasquatch. And it says, what did it say on there? Like, I believe, or something like that. Jack Link's Jerky sends us this huge box full of goodies. I had no idea. I'm like asking, here it is. So I couldn't tell, what does it say?
Power through.
Power through. I couldn't tell if that was a gorilla or a squatch. Well, it turns out Jack Link is always about the Sasquatch. So they sent us all of this stuff. I mean, we got bags of this stuff and these big long pepper sticks and teriyaki sticks, and it was so cool. It's funny that you ask about a Bigfoot hunt. We were thinking, all right, how do we do something about Bigfoot? Maybe we're on to something here. That would be way too funny. Randy, when domestic cows enter an area, does it push the elk out? My experience is if it gets grazed too hard, it'll temporarily displace elk to not like far away, usually just to the next little drainage or to the head of the basin, wherever there's some forage that's not grazed. But as quick as the cattle leave and the forage comes back up, the elk sometimes prefer to come back in there right away because they like the fresher and newer the forage, the more elk like it. So I've seen times where cattle come in, and the BLM and Forest Service, they do a pretty good job of making them rotate this. And then we get some rains after the cattle are off, and you get this bit of green up, and the elk are right back in there. So a lot of people, I think, once they see that cattle are in there, they're like, well, heck with that, I'm never coming back here. That's fine, but I come back there. I do. So, Randy, you should do a Sasquatch hunt. All right, Michael, I think we got the making of some YouTube content here, right? My buddy Jim Bagetail lives in Sasquatch country. He lives up on Prince of Wales Island. That would be the place to go and look for Sasquatch, I think. Randy, of all of the brakes units in Montana, which of them do you think has the best quality of bulls? Well, I've hunted 417, so he rattled them off. 410, 417, 622, or 621. I've not hunted 622 or 621, but when I've hunted 410, I've been able to glass into 622 and 621. If you gave me a choice of you can have a tag for any of those four units, I'd pick 410. Craig says, if Bigfoot can leave no trace, so can you. Randy, what do you use for weight in your pack for training hikes? Water. water is super heavy. Water weighs what? 8 pounds per gallon. So you throw 5 gallons of water, maybe it's even 8.8. I can't remember. Anyhow, it's between 8 and 9 pounds per gallon. And you put 5 gallons of water in your pack, you got some weight. And so that's what I use for weight in my pack training. And then I know if I get hurt back there, I'm not going to run out of water also. I'm not going to die of dehydration. Neil says, there are no elk in Colorado. Go to Utah. I love that when people do it. Nothing to see here. Move along. Nothing here. Let's see. Randy, any big mule deer tips for Montana? Yeah, hunt a different state if you're looking for big mule deer. I mean, there's a few here, and if you draw some of the limited entry units in the Bitterroot, those are better units. But as a general rule, our best mule deer hunting areas are just going to be average in places like Wyoming, Colorado, Utah, Nevada, Idaho. So that's just honest. People say, why do you go hunt mule deer in all those other states? You have mule deer in Montana. Well, I think in the 28 years I've hunted here in Montana, I've shot 5 or 6 mule deer bucks, and every other year it's been a whitetail. I think the quality of our whitetail hunting here is better than the quality of our mule deer hunting. And as far as if you say on the relative scale of size. And we can't compare to those other states I rambled off when it comes to mule deer hunting. Just can't. So Michael, you've been practicing with your new bow?
Oh yeah, I shoot it every day.
Michael shoots every day. The snow, I live south of town here by the mountains, and the snow finally melted off my range. And I'm done with taxis and I'm done with everything else, so time to get back in the mode. I can't believe I let things go to heck so bad every winter, but it's just how busy I am. I see we shouldn't have brought up the Sasquatch thing. Now we've got a ton of Sasquatch comments. Randy, have an Arizona late rifle elk hunt again this year. The last few times I was there, we always found elk down low. This year I want to hunt at 9,000 feet. While I'm there, do you think there will be many elk still up that high during late November, early December? Depends on what unit you have. If you have one of the Peaks units, I think a lot of them are going to be moving down into the flats. If you're already in some of that flat country I'm trying to think where would be over 9,000 feet, over in the White Mountains. In those areas, they might still be up there, but the peak stuff where it's 10, 11, 12,000 feet, I think those elk move down low into that flat pinyon juniper country early. So if I had a December tag like that, I don't think I'd be hunting high alpine. Let's see. How is Colorado compared to the other states you listed off for mule deer? I think I listed off Colorado as one of those states. Colorado would be the highest quality mule deer state there is. Just a fact. Just Colorado's got it going on with mule deer. It is. Randy, what's the farthest rifle shot you will take? It depends on so many factors. It's really hard to say. The best explanation I give people, and this isn't just with a rifle, but with a bow. When I get set up and I've got my finger on the trigger or I've got the release back here and I've got the pin settled, if I don't have that, this is a dead animal feeling, like I got this 100%. I just don't shoot. I don't care if it's a 200-yard rifle shot or a 30-yard archery shot. I just don't shoot if I don't have that absolute, this is going to work. So it's really not a distance. It's a feeling for me. So Kevin says, any tips for driving on those gumbo clay roads in Montana? Yeah, don't. If it's wet out in eastern Montana, just don't go off on those roads. You're going to be stuck. Your tires are going to look like great big donuts in about 20 yards. Let's see. Randy, I know that this is the year of the elk, but are there any plans to do videos on how to apply for deer and pronghorn in Wyoming since the application due date is May 31st versus January 31st for elk? No, we're not going to do that because the video that we did last year for all the species of Wyoming still applies. So go look at that one. It's on our YouTube channel, and it'll give you the full details on everything. Randy, it seems like you show up to a lot of areas and hunt without scouting the area. Yep, it's just how it is for us. Understandable given how many days you have to do this. Doesn't matter. Doesn't everything change when the season starts? Yep, and that's why I tell people I have my opening day hunt, if I get there opening day, and then I have my rest of the season hunt. So when I build my plan, I have a plan for what I'm going to do opening day, and then once the shooting starts, all bets are off. I got to have plan B for those other 4 days. So we usually have 1 day to get there. We have 5 days to hunt, and then a day to leave there and go to the next place. So the first day or two, we call it figure it out. Then we go into what we call sort it out. So hopefully the last 3 days we can pack it out. So figure it out, sort it out, pack it out. It's kind of the mindset we have. And if you do this enough like we do, you learn how to e-scout pretty effectively. And that's where I can say with 100% confidence that if it were not for onX Maps and what their features allow us to do e-scouting, the success we have in the field would go boom, way down. I look at how our success rates have improved. One, because of my experience of doing this, you start learning a few tricks, few ways to, think about this, think about that. But also our success rates have been heavily benefited by having onX right at our fingertips. It's probably the game changer of any tool I have while I'm out in the field. Let's see. Randy, when elk are feeding in the grain fields and going into thick brush during the day, what time will they typically enter and leave the field relative to sunrise, sunset? It depends on if there's any hunting pressure or how much hunting pressure. I've seen places where there's no hunting pressure and they really don't even leave. They stay there all day. So, but if there's some hunting pressure or if they're habituated to hunting pressure, odds are they're going to be out there in that field probably for no more than 30 to 60 minutes after legal shooting light, and they're not going to come out into that field any more than 30 minutes before the end of legal shooting light. So be there, be there, be there. Randy, what grain bullet do you love in the 7mm08 that you love so much? I use a 140 grain bullet, and I've got 4 7mm08s. And every one of them absolutely love the 140 grain Nosler bullets. And I have some where I shoot AccuBonds and some where I shoot E-tips from Nosler. Either one. It's like, yeah, you can't, the groups are so tight with either, it really seems to not make a difference, which is why I'm such a big fan of the 7mm08. It as accurate as my 308s are, my 7mm08, I think, is even slightly more accurate and consistent. Let's see. Hey, Michael, please ask Randy, how often does he utilize the heart, the liver, the kidney, the tongues, or other not so popular parts of elk and other animals? Brashear, you got to watch our content, man. Go out to our YouTube channel. We did the whole bison processing. Every one of those pieces you mentioned, we brought home with us. When we did Marcus's elk, the only time that we won't do organs, I'm not a big fan of kidney and liver, but some people are. But sometimes if you have a quartering hit, you're going to hit the liver and you're going to mess up the, when you're going for that vital cavity, depending on your shot angle, whether it's broadside, quartering to, quartering away, sometimes you're going to have hits that hit some of those organs. And I'm not going to salvage them if they've been hit with a bullet. Heart is one of my favorite things. We have recipes and cooking videos out on our YouTube channel of me cooking hearts, antelope hearts, elk hearts, bison hearts. Marcus is really big on tongue. I'm not a big fan of it. We even have kept the Rocky Mountain oysters off critters. So if you go out and watch all of our YouTube videos, you're going to see some crazy stuff that we eat. So, Randy, looking for a lightweight backpacking tent. Any suggestions? Depends on what you call lightweight. I lean more on the side of I don't want super lightweight. I want comfort so that I know I'm going to be able to sleep really good. I know I'm not going to have to deal with moisture and condensation and wetness. And if it snows, I'm still going to be fine. And that's why I use Hilleberg tents. I've got in my Nalo 2 GT, I bet you I'm at 3. Well, 2 years ago, I counted, I was at over 300 nights then in that tent that I bought in 2007 or 6, 7. Anyhow, they're bomb-proof. And if you've ever been up in the mountains and the weather craps on you, those super ultra lightweight tents get really uncomfortable. Or if you have a condensation issue because you got high humidity, if you've got expensive gear like we do, like cameras and all of our optics that we have to keep dry, I end up having to carry a slightly bigger tent. So lightweight to me is different than what it means to other people. But I swear by Hilleberg tents. They are unbelievable. They're an investment like all good equipment is, but once you make that investment, you are very happy you made it. Randy, VX5 or VX6? I'm looking for a new scope. Either, whatever fits your budget. I have them both. I love them both. Get the CDS model. I'd say most of our rifles have VX5s. The VX6s have a lot of extra features and other stuff that you can get only on the VX6. And some of those features, I just say, you know what, I want my audience to see a pretty, what would I call it? A very effective scope where you don't have to spend up to get to some of those extra features. So that's why I use VX5 mostly. But I have a couple VX6s and I really, really love them. Leupold, you're never getting those back. So I don't know what to tell you. They just got lost somewhere. Randy, how far do you practice shooting at the range? My archery range, I can do out to 75 yards. I'd never shoot at an animal that far. My pin only goes to 40 yards, and I've passed shots at 40 yards. Out at our range here at that I'm a member of, we have 400 meters, and so it's at 440 yards. I practice out to that, and mostly what I do is I try to practice as many different conditions as possible. I want to go out when it's raining. I want to go out when it's windy. I want to go out when I'm tired or when I'm exhausted or when the wind's blowing, or I'll go do some exercise or some calisthenics or something that replicates having just run across this bench to get in a shooting position. To me, those are way more valuable to my in the field effectiveness than sitting on a bench dialing out to 500 or 600 or whatever. And I know that everybody's got their own reasons and purposes for doing it. For me, hunting is about getting closer. I don't see myself shooting at animals beyond 400 yards. And even if they're 400, I want to get closer if I can. I'll take some risks of spooking them just to get closer. So I know that's not really an answer, but it's kind of the way I approach it. Someone knows that Brian ruined my prototype binoculars from Leupold. They said, did Brian Call drop your scopes also? We were on a hunt together, and Brian Call of the Gritty Bowman podcast was with me. And I loaned him my prototype Leupolds with the rangefinders built into them. And Brian dropped them off this big rock pile. It was like, I don't know, down in there. It probably fell 50 feet. And if you've ever, well, most people don't get to use prototypes, but prototypes are built for ergonomics and other stuff. They're not built to the normal standards of what a production model is. And so they fell 50 feet, which I don't know, that's probably a pretty good test sample, but one of the lenses didn't survive the impact, Brian. Thanks for nothing. But 50 feet's a pretty serious drop right onto a big flat rock, and especially with prototype stuff that's not always up to what final production quality is. What else we got, Michael? We've kept people a long time. We got any last, like, really? Oh, here's one. This one, we haven't been asked this one for a while.
I think I know what it is.
What is it about, scent control?
Oh, no. Okay, never mind.
Okay, what was yours?
How many elk hunts did you go on before you got your first elk?
How many elk hunts did it take before I killed my first elk? I hunted elk for 6 years before I killed my first elk. I don't know how many weekends that was, but it was a lot. So, someone is asking, Randy, what are your thoughts on scent control products? So, this is the last question we're going to answer because I'll have annoyed or ticked off everybody by the end of my response. Don't waste your money on it if you're elk hunting. It does nothing until you can figure out how to keep scent from coming out your nose, coming out your mouth, coming out your ears, coming out your eyes. You're wasting your money, especially elk hunting where you're active and you're sweating and everything else. Spend your money on something else. Kind of like my doctor. I asked him, should I be taking vitamins? He said, yeah, if you want to have really expensive urine, go right ahead. It's my same feeling on these scent control products. Thanks for watching. Tune in next week. Hopefully we'll have some more stuff for you to ask us or talk about, or we'll be celebrating that we drew Montana elk tags. Have a good evening.